because
Oh,
there's
really?
usually
It's
like
been that long?
yeah, well, it was just sort of like it was Friday night, and then it was summer, and then we had like a product launch at my job, so it was just I I can't like it's just too much. Uh, but the funny thing is, like, I kept thinking about it, so I'm compelled to do it because I do like it. But I have to imagine like there's some. I'll put it this way: so Marvel Snap, especially when it does, everything goes back to Snap.
Right.
When Marvel Snap, a new season launches, they'll usually give codes on Twitch. Which, by
Oh,
the way,
okay.
apparently, like it when I stream, I'm actually like I'm enabled for drops. So if you watch me, you get these drops. So it's like, hey, good for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So you just watch somebody enough, like for 2, 4, and then I think like 6 hours, and you get these like in-game stuff. I think about myself. It's like, okay, so I once a week maybe stream for 2 to 3 hours,
yeah. Okay.
and there's a couple guys where like as of 2 in the afternoon, you can just log in, and they will go until 2 to 4 p.m. at night. Like these
Whoa.
guys are just streaming from anywhere for 8 to like 12 hours a day, just Snap. Like I would sometimes turn it on like in the morning, and then I periodically check to make sure that like I'm still getting my hours to get the drops.
Right.
And it's the same guy on the same game grinding it out. Now these guys have thousands of viewers,
Yeah.
so that it's their hustle. It's what they're doing. But like, man, and then it's like I show up like, hey, here's 2 hours, yay! I leave for
I
a
made it.
month. For
Yeah, yeah. Well, good on them for that's a lot
it's
of work.
it's dedication. So I wonder about. I suspect you could do less, but you would have to be just next level amazing. Like
You'll
your
get there.
stream
That's
would have
you.
to be so entertaining. That's like I do 1 hour a week. Show up or take it or leave it.
The most entertaining hour of the
Yeah.
week,
Yeah,
right?
basically. I look forward to it every week. I set an alarm to it. All right. Let's get this show going. We're populated all across, and we are live. The adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old.
On the show, we try to illustrate that just because you became a dad,
Does not mean it's game over.
and they have closed the gap. I no longer have a 3-year distance between my two
Whew.
kids, which always feels weird
Yeah.
for that couple of months. So it's a 9 and a 7-year-old, almost a 10-year-old, hurtling towards double digits.
You are getting up
School's
there.
yeah, school's back in session. Homework's getting more intense. It's man, I'm cherishing these days because it feels like a change is a coming. Am I right on that?
Yeah, it kind of goes in a blink. I will be
Mm,
honest. I know everybody says that it's very cliche to say that, but those are the cute, really cute years. And then you're like,
hmm.
you get into like teenager problems, and you're like, oh my god, like, can I just go back to 9 years old, please?
Can't,
Where it
can't
was
you
about,
just demand more chicken nuggets as opposed
that's
to
right.
like,
Yeah, it's about recess and like who hit who in dodgeball. Like that's it,
oh
right?
man,
So
one of the constant reframes of the show has always been it gets better. Like it gets better. Like, look, you're not sleeping through the night and not able to do anything. Like it gets amazing. Um, and I think that's true. And there's always going to be like amazing parts about each phase. I had probably one of my first times as far as an experience of kind of interacting with a younger kid and missing those days a bit.
oh yeah, okay, all
There's,
right.
there's, there's a great podcast quote that was meant to try to help parents. And it's like, I understand it's difficult right now, but if you go 60 years into the future, you would pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars to come back to today just to experience this again, right? With the little one. And I had that a bit because I was playing with this little 4-year-old boy that a friend's had, and it was hide and seek. And it
Mm-hmm.
was the dumbest hide and seek you can
Behind the
never
curtain,
imagine.
like,
Yeah.
can't see
It's,
me.
Well, I was a hider, except I can't really hide that well. So it'd be like he's like, okay, again, and I would run off, and I'd be like just in the laundry room,
Right. Yeah.
and then he'd find me, and he's got this massive grin. He's like, again, and then I'd just like go over and like hide behind a wall. So I wasn't really he
Right.
just kept doing it over and over again. But it's like it's so simple. Like this is great. If anything, like the having lived it with my own through more stressful times, like just getting that taste of it with someone else's kids, it was like, oh man, these little guys are a blast.
Kudos to you for playing along too, because like a lot of the times you're like, okay, after 3 or 4 times, I'm kind of done now. I'm gonna lock myself in the car and pull back the seat. And you won't be able to get in there.
I'm gonna actually hide.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide from you. That's it, and drive away.
Yeah,
Okay.
go to a neighbor's house. It's like, oh, you're so good at hiding.
Yeah, look at me.
Oh, as always, folks, hey, before we get kick off on the show, thank you so much for here listening. If you want to support the show, what really would help us as we continue to try to grow out is find us on the podcast networks, Google, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, anywhere you can find us, and subscribe, leave a rating and a comment. That really helps the show, like exponentially, honestly, as far as getting the word out there. That'd be really great. And otherwise, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming on X and other social medias, or our website, newdadgaming.com. Some of the best things we get, some of the best stories and segments are stories from fellow gaming dads. So do reach out. Now, a continuation of what we might call a long-running saga of me mucking around with a handheld retro systems.
Right.
You guys may have seen this. Some of the more popular ones are like Retro Pockets or the RG 351. If you just look for handheld retro systems, you with your legal ROMs that you own.
Yes. Right.
It's very clear.
Yep.
But these are great little handheld systems that can load up a whole bunch of those things, a bunch of different systems, and you can play it on the go. Great battery life, amazing gameplay. Imagine playing Genesis and Nintendo and Super NES, all those wonderful titles that you legally own, and you put them onto these consoles. Pretty cool. Liked it. It's actually, my kids enjoyed it a whole bunch, like playing Sonic on these things. So during flights and other trips, A+. But here's the thing, Jeff.
Uh-oh.
There's a secret superpower these things had that I did not know.
What?
So the community around these things is very active, and what they have done is ported more like larger titles than you would expect that work on these systems.
Oh.
I am talking about Half-Life.
What?
I'm talking about Fallout 1 and 2. I'm talking about Stardew Valley.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Balatro. I'm talking about Heroes of Might and Magic too.
Deal.
Yeah. Now the best part, how this thing works. So there is a whole system. It takes a bit. It takes some fiddling, folks. This isn't particularly easy, so I do want to put that up front. So it's not buy it off the shelf and where you go. What is really nice is that this is a very direct connection between legally purchasing it and then just having it on the system to go.
Mm-hmm.
So with Fallout 1, for instance, which I purchased a second time because I forgot that I already owned the damn game. So
that happens.
Just because I bought it and okay, now that I bought it, I can go download it. Son of a, it's in my library. It is right there.
That's how they get you. Todd Howard strikes again.
So be it. So to do this, it's this whole system called Portmaster. And if your device can connect to Wi-Fi, it's okay, here's the games that we have ported. Would you like to install this one? And you do. Now that installation, it just sets the system up, right? And then you go and take the install files from your computer. So you take your legal version of Fallout 1, install it. Then you take some of those files and you just put it over onto the memory card of your system.
Okay.
But now you're on the go. You have this tiny handheld, this small pocketable, old Game Boy style thing that is playing Stardew Valley, Balatro, Fallout 1, Heroes of Might and Magic 2, just completely on the go. It's insane. I cannot believe that this thing existed.
That's amazing. I was looking at the video that you were showing in the background. I'm like, was that Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, I think that That's one of the ones that was ported there too.
Oh my
So,
god.
and some of
Okay.
them, so for Diablo, for instance, what it is, it's a complete rewrite of Diablo. These people, yeah, on their own time, of their own volition. And again, you still need to do like you have to download your version of Diablo 1 to get the proper like maps and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
So they're being smart about it. They're not like, and here's stuff, steal it. This is fun. No, like but they've completely rewritten it so the engine so that it works on these systems. And you just have Diablo 1 on the go. Like you have it in your pocket running around on what looks like 1990s hardware. Like it's just
You're like, hey kids, I know Sonic was fun, but who wants to go to hell with daddy?
let's do this. And the tiny sprites on this little screen.
There's so much red paint everywhere.
Oh my
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I'm surprised that you didn't know about. I don't know.
I saw like what it had things like DOS. So if you have like a DOS
Oh,
game,
yeah,
you
yeah.
could use it to which to me was like, okay, you can kind of like get it to work and that'd be fine. But it was just like the stunning. And like what really did it for me was Balatro because I absolutely adore that title. And I mean, we'll talk about it more in the show, but up to now there was no indication when it'd launch on mobile. So it's like it'd
Right,
be
yeah.
really cool to take this thing on the go, like thinking about a flight, like thinking about a long trip, and just having these titles you could really sink your teeth into, like Fallout 1.
Yeah.
Like imagine like kind of diving back into that thing.
Well, I would spend all my time in Stardew, like just even have a
Yeah.
Stardew Valley. Like that's a great kind of system for it. All the pixel art and everything kind of works with it. So
Oh, it'd be perfect. It's the entire thing. And
yeah,
what's interesting too, so beyond that, okay, you got some of the like the actual game studio titles. You can purchase them, put them on these devices. Like
yeah,
unbelievable. That's cool. What's even more neat in a small way is there is another budding community of kind of smaller indie titles that you can just download onto the system. So these are games that are officially supported. So something like Cave Story, if you've
okay,
ever heard of that game,
yeah, yeah,
great
yeah,
game, like it really well done, like sprite art animation, but like a full total like arc of a story, great Metrovania style. And you could just download the game. You could just like in the system say, "Hey, I'd like this game, please," and it'll just like install itself onto your system. So and you go through the list, and it is. Think about any time you've gone, if you've ever gone to itch.io
yes, yeah,
or you've seen stuff that comes out of game jams and these awesome looking titles, like beautiful games that are made out of love. There's just a whole storefront that exists on this thing. It's like, I'll take this one and this looks kind of cool. Oh, this is some rando driving game. Like, let's give this a whirl. Like, it is surprising. Like, all of a sudden, you're like staring at this little black box, like, wow, like this, like, I did not know. I knew not your power. This is like carrying around a MacGuffin from a movie, and then it cracks open. It's the diamond the whole time. I can't believe it.
yeah. No, I'm just gonna say it's just a whole different backlog in your pocket that you're just
Mm.
carrying around. You're like, I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna see this. So
What do you get the guy that has too many games? More games.
more games on the go.
Yeah. As I said, and we're looking at screen right now. They're just explaining how to install Stardew Valley on it. Again, what I like about it though, it's not, and here's how you steal it so you can get in your system. It's like, no. So first, go here and purchase it.
Yeah.
And then just take the game that you've purchased and put it onto this other place where you play games.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I thought you were gonna say it was like, oh, here's how to install like the launchers, which I've done with the Steam Deck of like, hey,
Mm,
all your games that you own on Epic or GOG, here's those launchers, how to like work them, and then it uses
mhm.
the whole Wi-Fi system to grab it. But this is awesome how it's just like you just take those files that you're already downloading anyway and just zip them on a memory card
Yeah.
and get them in there.
So, I've suggested these consoles before to dads, and it further strengthens that
Now
because
you
if
really
anything,
recommend it. Yeah.
because you can get the smaller titles for car trips with the kiddos, but then at night go into the wastelands or harvest turnips to your heart's content.
Perfect.
So
Love it.
do check it out. Now, I'll give a quick shout out to this. I'm glad you saw this too and was a little bit disturbed as I was.
Hmm.
Good news, Balatro. So it is the deck building poker game, which again, if you've not heard of it, watch some gameplay of it. It is unique and fascinating and fun, and you just really calmly kind of go through it. well worth a dad look. But for the longest time, they discussed a port for mobile, and it launched, or sorry, it's announced.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
as of this date, it's about 20 days away. I think, or 28th of September, I think is the official one.
Yep.
So cool, good news. The ad is so creepy.
It's something.
It's it's like it would almost feel like an attack ad from a different company that's attacking its own games, but it makes it feel so sinister. Like think about it. Reminded me almost of like Saw.
It
It's like
reminded me of Devolver Digital. They do these types
yes,
of ads, and it's just
yes,
like crazy sauce, right? So,
hmm
yeah, but Saw like, right? You have this like horror-esque ad for your game, like
like the one thing like so the name of them is like I think it's like the company's called Jimbo,
yes.
but it's the thing like one of the things that they make fun of is like we're releasing on mobile, and then there's like this graph of like Jimbo stocks where it's like going through the roof because we're gonna
Yep.
make so much money.
Yeah.
It's like wow, that's on the nose. Oh my god.
Not shying away from that fact at all. They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
you wanted this, we're gonna give it to you and make tons of money. So, enjoy."
Yeah. Anyway, so keep an eye for that. It's coming to Apple Arcade if you do have it, and all the other mobile platforms. And definitely a dad recommend. That is an absolutely fantastic game. Now, for a fantastic game, or at least what I hope is a fantastic game, it seems like your kids were able to persuade you to dip into the new Astrobot game.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
You definitely buy this. Say no more.
Say no more. It's like one of those things you're like, well, they don't ask for games a lot, right?
Mm,
Like if they do, it's for themselves, it's for their own birthday, whatever. But this is like, no, we really like this game. When the Astros Playroom launched for the PS5, we love playing it with you. The
mhm.
next one's out. It looks really good.
Okay, hold on,
Are
hold on,
we
hold on.
going to get
Pause, pause, pause.
it? Okay.
Was that manipulation? It's like,
Yes, it was.
oh,
Yep.
we had so much fun playing with you, Dad. It was such a precious family time.
Yep.
Was
Emotional
was it
manipulation.
true?
Mm,
Yeah.
they just want me to pay for it, which,
Mm,
fell for a hook, line, and sinker. Where, they will play it. And I think more of the concern is, will they play it with me? Because
mm.
they've said that. But they tend to just run through these games because they have a lot more time than the old dad.
Your old dad.
So if my 11-year-old goes through this, they'll be like, spoiler city, like, oh yeah, there's these bonus levels and I got every like hidden character and you have to find like 300 astrobots everywhere. And they would probably catch everyone in like a weekend. But if I can at least experience a small slice of this with them, it's great, right? Like that's money well spent. And
Mm.
I've heard rave reviews about this, how it rivals even Mario. So like it's been,
Whoa.
and like that is not just praise for one or two game reviewers. That's a lot of them. So this is like the real deal. And I'm like,
So
okay,
so
a
it's not like
great Mario game.
fanboy cope. Like that
No,
might actually be true in that they've really crafted a world.
yeah, again, I've always said that Astrobot should be like, the mascot of PlayStation. They should really do more with Astrobot. It just
Mm,
seems like this fun, family-friendly thing, and they insert all this PlayStation nostalgia,
mm,
and it's just a great game. It's like a Ratchet and Clank type game. Go for it, right? Do all these, have Astro Kart, have all these other Astro
mm.
games, right? Follow Nintendo's lead. So it seems like they've really done a good job with this one. So it opens at midnight. I've already got it preloaded.
Hey, there you go.
Do I drop in at midnight without the kids? I don't know.
Just
We'll find out.
tune in next week to
Yes.
find out. Now, play with what is the multiplayer situation? Are you aware of it yet? Where
Oh, I
it,
don't think there is any multiplayer that I'm aware
oh,
of. There might be like a speed run thing, but it's
okay,
more like, hey, you do this level until I die, and then we switch
okay,
off. And that's what happened before. So I don't
I
mind
see.
doing that. That works.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if it was like Tearaway, for instance, where it was one person is interacting with the world and the other one's kind of running around, but sounds like it's a straight up and down first person, one player, and then you guys are just taking turns.
Yeah, I think so. Unless I don't know of anything in there that where the second player can control Astros and antenna or something. I don't know, like the Mario hat and Odyssey.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but we can. I will let everybody know. And again, if I get to dip in before the kids,
All
without
the
them
better.
getting angry at me, we'll see. I'll report back.
And this a bit of a question. I'm kind of curious about what is your assessment of the PS5 purchase? It has been, at least a year that you've had it,
Yeah, since
and upon
launch.
reflection,
Yeah.
because to preload it a bit, I think about. I'm happy with Xbox. It was fun. I enjoyed the console to begin with. It's really become my kid's console, and I
Mhm.
very much myself switched over to PC. Not a, oh, PC's better. It's more just that there's a huge library I have, and generally speaking, that's what the kids play now.
Yeah.
So where are you at with your PS5 purchase? Was it like, this is fantastic? Was like in some small ways it was kind of a waste of money? Like, where have you landed on it?
Um, I'm okay with it, put it that way. Like it's one of those things where it was just quiet. So the
Hmm.
PS4 was really, really loud. It was really kind of clunky. This thing was quiet, right? Like you could hear people around you. So
Hmm.
great, right? And the initial games were awesome. I loved it. But then like as I got the Steam Deck, I have turned more
Yeah.
to Steam itself and like it's cheaper, it's got more sales. I can kind of do everything on it. But for the bigger games that I can't run on that, I will turn to the PS5 to really get that,
Hmm.
there's graphical fidelity that I can experience in 4K versus trying to blur it to run on the Steam Deck. So it's okay. Like I don't say that it was like PS4 was a big thing. I think for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, oh, absolutely. That over the PS3, that was amazing. Like
Hmm.
wouldn't go back. PS5, it's just like it's good, but I
So
think the hits are less and less and less.
yeah, see that's kind of the thread in some ways I almost wanted to pull on because with this Xbox, with the PS4, with the Xbox 360, with like I can remember some purchases that had come around and it's like, this is unbelievable. Like,
Yeah.
this console, I love this thing. And for years, like, it just had that place. Like, this is my gaming system. Like, this is amazing. Like, what a time to be alive. These ones, it's like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't, which I don't know if that's just because like we've become numb a little bit to it, or that perhaps it's such maturity in consoles, or maybe we're just getting old and jaded. Like, so it's
Well,
like
I think it's a little
maybe,
bit of
yeah.
all that, but it
Mm,
took them a long time to get out of that generation. Like, they were still
mm,
making games for last gen to run on the new gen as well, right? So you didn't really see much of a leap in a lot of the games, like,
mm.
especially, like, the third-party ones. So, like, Assassin's Creed was made for all the systems, so you're kinda, like, limited. Like, they couldn't do next gen power because they still wanted the install base of everything else, right?
Yeah, see, I can remember. I think in some way too, they have started to hit a bit of a ceiling with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
graphics because you think about PS1 to PS2. Like, wild, like, absolutely wild. Like, PS1 is so blocky and ugly,
Mhm.
honestly, when you
Yeah.
look at it. PS2 kinda, there's some things that kinda hold up, and then PS3, PS4, it's like, "Whoa, like, this is unbelievable." And I'd say, even I'll be honest, I think PS3 to PS4 really wasn't, not as big a jump from 1 to 2, but
No,
even,
until, like, later in PS4
yeah,
generation where you go back and you're like, "Okay, they got a
yeah.
handle on what to do."
But now
But
with, like, again, like, I'm playing, as I mentioned, so I could stream it, like, I got NHL 2017 from a PS4.
right. Yeah.
But then, and I have NHL 24 on the Xbox, like the new generation. It's like, yeah, it's kinda like, it's not like, I'll
Yeah,
be
like,
honest,
where do you go? What do you do?
it's there's just not like, I suppose some of the mustaches are a bit more fluid, but besides that, like, it's just really not, the day-to-day is not, there's no jump that makes you look at this thing. So if anything, it's where before you could probably almost more rely on the graphical fidelity to sell its value. I think the place they're probably needing to get to now is like, no, you need to take this to the next level. Like, these games have to be, you need to somehow use this hardware to make this game so much more than just slightly prettier. Because like the expansive games you were producing for the last generation were stunning, and this, you have not really gone beyond it.
Yeah, I think the whole kinda design theory has to change because
Hmm.
they were dealing with old hard drives, right? And then the move to SSD, where PC has sat there for a while with that, it's like it was supposed to change game design. So you
Hmm.
were, there's less loading and you could do more with the worlds. And even Ratchet and Clank, I think, was a good example of that, how you could flip through worlds like instantaneously.
Hmm.
Do more of that where you're like playing with the technology a little bit more versus just just graphics. I think
Mhm.
you need to and look at the gameplay a little bit more. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. They're rumored to have a PS5 Pro announcement soon. I'm like, but
Mhm.
why? Like,
Yes.
I don't know
What
what
does
you're
that
going to
do?
do with it.
Like, lessen could you imagine there'd be less load time? Like, are you
Not
experience any load time at this point?
Not it's only a few seconds, like, so if you
Mm,
shave off, what, like, a tenth of a second, am I gonna notice? Maybe, I don't know, but I don't understand what they're gonna do with the extra power to it if they
mm,
have to have some sort of parity, but
mhm.
I don't know, I would rather a price cut. You remember the PS2 days? You could get that for $99 at the end of it?
Oh,
I would
one of the greatest consoles to ever live. I think it's still, like, the highest selling.
It's yeah, I think Switch is, like, about to overtake, but it's one of those, like,
Mhm.
yeah, like, let's get back to that where the price point was, like,
Yeah, let's
100
let's reduce
bucks?
that price instead. This is great. Look, I
Yeah.
got, like, Fallout on this tiny black square. Like, why can't you guys reduce the price?
That's right.
Uh, Generally speaking, on the show, we try to stay positive, try to talk about good news, or at the very least, like, all right, here's what's happening in dad life, and be honest about it. Um, but the shit show that has been Concord
Yes.
with PlayStation. So I am looking to you to inform me what the heck happened, because I only saw it through the news, and I'm talking like old people news,
Like
like those.
CNN reports back on this PlayStation
I say
game and
I say that as a 40-year-old, I'm probably I'm old, man. Anyways, like, I saw I saw this through the lens of, like, old classic news where it's like, PlayStation title Concord only has, like, 600 players. Game like, PlayStation game Concord, like, is shuttering week into launch, giving refunds. So I know that it's bad. I know it didn't succeed and it's blowing up for them, but, like, what is the story of this PlayStation game, Concord?
yeah, so, like, again, I'm not gonna be an industry expert on this, but I will tell you from my point of view what happened with this game
Mhm,
was it was trying to go for a vibe, right? You got this whole state of play dedicated to it. It was giving Guardians of the Galaxy type vibe and this beautifully
mm,
rendered CG cutscene with all these different characters that are joking off each other, and you're like, "Okay, I can
mhm.
get on board with this." And then it just flips through. Like here, no, it's a hero shooter. It's not a narrative in any sort. It's not a single player game with a multiplayer aspect. It is a hero shooter. All those crazy characters that we introduced, now you're just in a first person view with the same gun as everybody else with some powers mixed in,
And they don't
right?
talk.
So,
It's like
right? So, like, I think right away everyone's like, "Oh, right, like it
mm,
how is this different than the oversaturated market I think that the
mhm.
hero shooters has?" And even like the big players with Overwatch have been struggling with even Overwatch 2 and trying to iterate on that and get esports going. And now even Valve's introducing their next one called Deadlock, right? Like,
Oh,
and
that's right.
it's just so much going on in this space that I think they missed the boat completely
Mm.
on where this was supposed to be. If they had launched this pre-COVID, I could see it succeed, right? But they've been
Okay,
working
no,
on this
hold on.
baby.
So, like, shut up, Jeff. One second. This, like, we're going to stop. So we're playing. We stream this live
Yeah.
as we go, and there's a video happening, and I'm really hoping I can find the scene.
Oh, what happened in it?
Just 1 second. Okay, this is the most
Yes.
generic ass character. What we are looking at is, I want you to imagine, like, 1985 box art for, like, the
Yes.
first Mega Man, or some rando no name game called, like, Spaceman Shoots Gun.
Yep.
So whatever you're thinking is exactly what this character looks like.
Yeah.
This is this is so lifeless. I don't is this a playable character? Like, it must
That is
be.
a playable character. It is the most generic of the bunch. There are quite a few that are, a
Come
little bit more
on.
unique. But again, to your point,
I just
I,
I stopped all broad. It's like an emergency button, like, stop the presses. You can't keep talking
I know.
until we go back and make fun of this man. Look
I
at him.
There's choices here that baffle me. I honestly don't know that they thought, let's put a generic character in there and everyone will want to do that.
Oh, he
Um,
strikes like a gun pose. It's like it looks
yeah.
like Starship Troopers, but without the
I,
self awareness.
yeah,
That
I think they were going for like, again, comedy kind of cringe, but it was too far into the cringe. Like there's no hook for it. Yeah, so there's many problems here. And then when they launched, because everyone gave that feedback, like, hey, this doesn't look all that great. And they launched it anyway, and they're like, well, it's $40. And people are like, like, you'd be hard pressed to get me to play this free to play, right? Like if you free to play this and had costumes available, then maybe you would earn, that kind of base. But if you launch with a price point and everyone's like, hey, this kind of falls through everything else that's out there, you're gonna have issues.
I think, hold on, is Overwatch 2 free? Okay, so Overwatch. Okay, and again, just to lay the ground rules.
Yep.
What these fools were thinking is like, okay, so we're like Overwatch 2 with none of the charm, less polish, and we cost money. Let's go ship. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, and then secondly, Valorant, right?
Yes.
Which has Amazon behind it, which I think is free. Valorant is okay.
Yeah.
So we have your two biggest, massive players completely for free, and you're going to try to charge $40 damn. One more time, hold on. Marvel Rivals free. Marvel Rivals. Disney-owned subsidiary Marvel Rivals is free to play, starring Iron Man, Spider-Man,
the
Hulk.
Do you know those people? Do they look like generic characters that you could play for $40? I'm not sure.
Or you could spend $40 on generic Spaceman B. It's like, what's happening?
I think somebody made stupid decisions and say, hey, you remember Helldivers? And that was $40 and it did so well and that was awesome. We're gonna replicate that because this is the thing. We spent $200 million and 8 years of our time developing this.
Man,
it's gonna be a hit.
And to be clear, I don't think there's a game dev or art director involved in this. That it's their fault. So it's not like to like poo-poo on this. It's more just like from the business decision. It's like, come on, guys.
They didn't
be better.
They didn't allow this thing to succeed. They did pull it after I think 12, 13 days, and issued refunds, which good on them. At least like you're trying to get some faith back. They're gonna look at how to proceed. If it does come back, I will be surprised. If it does, I think it would be free to play. You couldn't do anything about charging. Right? But like PlayStation has a bunch. This is an in-house PlayStation studio. So you could just why don't you insert PlayStation characters then? Right? Like they all go into Fortnite anyway. You have those IPs. Yeah. Insert them here. People will pay for Kratos. Are you kidding me? Whatever. Just have some fun.
Geez, what a fascinating challenge. If they can redo Sonic in his movie.
Yes.
Is there any way they can completely just redo this game, like parts of it to make it like interesting? So you get rid of the paywall, so more people willing to try it. You amp up some sort of personality, or just you add some sort of interesting element to it, where in the crowded space, as you mentioned a few times, like it somehow sticks out.
It's a hard ask though. Like I don't know how they're gonna do that. But, again, no offense to the devs, the people that worked on it, the blood, sweat, tears that, went through this. It's hard. Some of these decisions are crazy. Like the reception was lukewarm at best on launch, like on their trailer reveal. And then you kind of kept continuing and then it didn't turn over. So
and they doubled down.
They're like, no, we're going to launch this sucker.
This is going to work.
Dads do not buy. New dad, no recommend.
Yeah, I hate, like I said, we really try to do nothing but pause, but this is hard to. Man, I was just curious. It's like, man, do you know what this is? Because like, newspapers are on fire with this like story. What's going on?
Imagine you getting it for your kid, and you're like, "Hey, I got you this game. Oh, it's refunded in 10 days. You can't play it
for their birthday." You get them It's like, did I get Overwatch 2 for my birthday? Close.
You got Wish.com Overwatch.
That costs more.
That costs more. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I was like, sorry, devs and designers. You guys deserve better. This seems like some terrible decisions, but they're all going to be winners, folks. They're always going to be winners. Unlike this show. Everybody listens to this show as a winner. Every one of you. Especially if you made it this far. That's why we can call it out that way.
That's right.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you like the show, please do find us on any of the podcasting networks, Google, Spotify, iTunes, Caster, anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. And if you do there, what really does help out the show is if you can subscribe and leave a rating and a review. Really boost the signal as we try to grow the show to reach as many gaming dads as possible, and tell them to get handheld retros and tell them to avoid buying Concord.
Yes.
Currently. Maybe it's for free. Maybe it's a redemption story, and we'll celebrate it together. All right. If you'd like to reach out to the show, you can find us at newdadgaming.com. If you have a gaming story, if you bought Concord, we'd love to hear from you, or anything else like that. Find us on socials at New Dad Gaming. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old, and I'll be an Astrobot at probably midnight. So
go get it. Not going to keep you here. All right. Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
does not mean it's game over.
All right. See you next week.
See you later.